Okay, so good evening, everyone present here. I'm the Vice President of Microsoft Innovations Club, and I would like to welcome each one of you to our competitive programming knowledge sharing sessions that we are beginning from today. Our speaker for today is Neeraj Manurkar. He has experience of 2 years in the field of competitive programming. He's been learning, practicing, and going about with the contests. He has 4 stars in CodeChef, while a rating of 1200 in Code Forces. Today, he is here with us to share a bit of his knowledge. So let us begin. Over to you, Neeraj.
Thank you for that wonderful intro. I'll be conducting this session and a little bit about how this session is going to go about and what is going to happen. It's going to be a 4 week long session and we'll be teaching competitive programming from basic to advanced level. And this session will be conducted by me and my fellow batchmate Sanjay. And this first session is going to be about competitive programming, introduction to competitive programming. So let's start with the session. What is competitive programming? Why would you do competitive programming? I'll be explaining this everything from the start. So first is what is competitive programming? Competitive programming is basically a sport. It's like any sport which you play or field or anything like that, where basically coders from all over the world race against each other to solve DSA related problems within a limited amount of time. But the catch here is, although you solve this in limited amount of time, every time you submit your problem or you submit the problem and you get the wrong answer, you lose time and you lose and you get a penalty. So that you should be very careful of. You should properly try to analyze and think whether your problem is correct, whether your time complexity is correct or not. So it takes a combination of both analytical thinking and creativity. Why should we do competitive programming? Competitive programming is very important because first of all, it increases your problem solving skills and you become a better and a more efficient coder. This will also help in landing your job interviews, especially when off campus, because off campus job interviews are harder than on campus. So if you do CP for like at least 2, 3 years, cracking those interviews will become easier because the main questions asked in those interviews are DSA. And here you just apply your knowledge of DSA and try to make your algorithm more efficient. That is why this is a very helpful. So I would suggest everyone, whether you're first, second, third year, to start doing CP now itself because it is going to boost your resume plus landing a job interview. Upon that, there are some competitions which I'll be discussing later, which are related to CP. And once you go give those competitions and you're in like top of top, you'll directly get job opportunities through the competitions itself. Languages used in CP. Now, there will be 3 languages which you can use in competitive programming. Those are Java, C++, and Python. So it is not compulsory of to use C++ itself. You can use Java or Python based on your which you like, which language you like. But I would suggest you to go for Java or C++, not Python, because Java has better runtime efficiency than Python, because Python is an interpreter. And among Java and C++, why C++ is mostly popular because it contains STL, standard template libraries, which I'll be telling more about in the next session, what it is and why should you use it. Main basic advantage of STL is it just gives you faster. You can basically solve the questions faster and using less number of lines and less amount of code, you can solve it. So this saves a lot of time during contest, and time is something which is very important in competitive programming. Concepts required. These you'll be learning in your DSA and DA in the future as well, and we'll be covering these concepts during these sessions as well. The key concept will be algorithm analysis. This is one of the most important, as time complexity and analyzing your algorithm and analyzing how much space required for the algorithm is very important, because most of the questions I would say at the start would be based on TLE as well. It looks like you can solve the problem. The concept will be like the solution or anything would be very easy to implement. But the only catch would be the amount of test cases or the amount of inputs, the amount of numbers they'll be given are going to be slightly larger than what you'll be doing. So this is where you'll get time limit issues. So your algorithm should be perfect almost in the sense, and you should have an optimal solution. And at the start, when you start doing competitive programming, there's going to be brute force. You can almost brute force problems. That is like basically just pick a problem. Suppose it's like find the divisors of n this thing. So you go from 1 to n and then pick it. So normal way to solve. At the start, like the basic questions are going to contain this. Then would be greedy. Greedy and dynamic programming are the ones which actually give you optimal solutions. And graph algorithms, which will be getting a little bit higher level when you go towards like div 2 in code chef, or div 1 in not even in code forces. You'll be getting more questions based on graph algorithms, where it's like bfs, dfs, prim's algorithm, krushal's algorithm. All of these will be coming into the picture. Websites. Now I'd like to introduce websites where you would like start learning or start competing in competitive programming. The websites are Code Forces, Code Chef, Ad Coders, Podge. These are the ones where you give contests, and practice websites are going to be Lead Code, HackerRank, and GFG. I'll be showing each websites in detail right now. First has go towards Code Forces, and why would I suggest you to go to Code Forces would be it is one of the biggest competitive programming websites where you give contests and everything. It is going to be a bit hard if you want to try, if you want like to advance or to go higher level of competitive programming. I would suggest you to go to this website, and this is the UI. As you can see, when you go towards home, you see on the right side this will be the contest. All you have to do is go towards the contest, click register, and you can start giving contests. That is it you have to do. And upon that, why I'm suggesting Code Forces is if you go towards catalog, there are subdivisions where they actually teach you or show you which questions have come in Code Forces, where they're going to be like binary search, sorting, data structures. All of these will be there. So you can even practice at your own pace. And they keep updating it. So I'd suggest you to even do this. And one more would be you can even do past contests. So before you actually start giving contests on Code Forces, let it be Code Chef or anything, I'd suggest you to take a look at previous contests here, contest history, try to solve problems. So there will be typically like 6 questions in Code Forces, A, B, C, D, E, F. And as the letters go higher, the difficulty goes higher. A is the easiest and F is the hardest. Sometimes they give like A, B1, B2, C1, C2 like that, means the same thing. So that is about Code Forces UI. And later on, when I talk about editors using, I will show you how to even submit a problem in Code Forces as well later on. And next would be Code Chef. This is, I would suggest, if you want to begin like giving contest or anything, you can use Code Chef because it's very beginner friendly, and also it's from this thing itself, Unacademy itself. So it's a Indian this thing contest. And here, what I would suggest, again, you go here, you can see there's actually a contest going on right now. So you can go and give a contest here as well. And again, you can go and go to all contests, and you can have a look at how the contest will be, what the questions are, and everything. So take a look and you can practice coding contests, see the submissions, see the accuracy, everything. Upon that, there are even some practice problems which you can do on CodeChef. This would be actually a better way to get to know how online judge works. The difference between when you code on VS Code or anywhere else and the difference between online judge. The main difference is basically online judge gives you a set of test cases and the output for it, the input and output, and you have to try to get the same match the same output, and the amount of inputs they'll be given will be around like many like 7 8 inputs test cases. So the only difference would be that. And the other contest, other website would be AdCoder. So once you get familiar with competitive programming and you want to go a bit higher, you can go towards AdCoder, because these are where all the people who are interested in CP, who want to like gain high level knowledge of CP, go. And here it's only contest. So you keep solving contest one after other. They send you a mail that when the contest will start, the amount of problems, the duration, and the range rating, how much rating you have. And after that, for practicing CP, like if you get like if you want to start CP or if you want to do anything like that, I would suggest you to go towards lead code and start giving problems here. As you can see, there are problems. So you choose whichever problem you want, easy. I'd suggest you to start from easy based on the concept you want. Suppose you want only like sorting problems, there will be problems in sorting based on whatever you want here. You can start sorting anything you want. And one more important, I would suggest you to not miss out on, if you go towards lead code, you see here, There's a limited time offer. So I would suggest you to go and claim this. I've already claimed this. It teaches you basically graph, heap, and dynamic programming properly. So it is available till February 14th. So I'd suggest you to go and actually claim this lead code premium features, which are given for free as well. And the best site to actually like learn proper competitive programming or uh, the solutions in detail would be Geeks for Geeks. Over here also there are algorithms where you search everything whatever you want and they give you the answers. So it's a pretty good website. I'd suggest when you're stuck at some place and when you're not getting a solution, been going on for a week or two and you're trying and you're not getting a solution to a problem, go for Geeks and Geeks for Geeks. Here you can see there are topics. Every single topic has every problem and everything. So you can try step by step, do it, and get yourself a little bit higher knowledge or higher skill in that area. That would be better. And the last but not the least would be Top Coder. I don't use that, but it's pretty good, both contest and learning wise as well. And one more would be Spoj. So this is also pretty good platform. There are many platforms, and actually keep trying platforms because each platform has different set of problems. So try almost every platform you should actually code on, because I code on do almost all platforms itself. I go on and just try problems. Here is also rating difficulty. So go ahead and give it a try as well. So I would suggest when you start competitive programming and when we teach you certain topics, let it be time complexity, searching, sorting, or anything, at the end, we'll be giving you questions as well, but I'd suggest you to go for at least these three websites minimum: Geeks for Geeks and Lead Code, and go towards Code Forces. Code Forces has its own catalog where you can go towards binary search. There are many posts where you can do it. These three websites, I would suggest you to go for it. And after this, I'll tell you how to submit code and everything later on when I teach you which editors you will use or which is a better editor to use. That time I'll show you how to submit a problem on CodeChef or Codeforces later on. Coming back to this, I would suggest you to now competitions. So when I told you at the start, when you participate in CP competitions, when you give, there are chances where you get directly hired or get an interview from top companies. So I'd suggest these are the competitions which you should go for. And the first competition would be Hashcode. Hashcode is open now, so you can go register now itself. It's a team programming contest, basically competition, which is organized by Google. So the team size will be 4 members, and choose your own language. They'll give you questions, and it is a bit challenging. When you give it, you'll get to know. So this occurs once a year. Next would be Kickstart. This is the most important contest. It's going to start the registrations, I guess, open on March 2nd, I guess. I'm not sure. I'd suggest everyone to go and give this. It is going to be a contest which reoccurs. So I think they keep giving rounds like A, B, C, D rounds. And at the end, whoever is on the top 3 or 2% get interviewed by Google directly. So if you have an aim to get to Google or anything, I'd suggest you to go and practice as much as you can for Kickstart, because you can directly land a job interview at Google. Next would be Code Jam. It is same again from Google as well, but this is not a contest which you basically go as a team, again as a solo, go alone. And then this has a very high cash price. So this is also upcoming. I think it's coming soon. So go for that as well. Then other contest competition would be ACM ICPC, known as ACM ICPC, but now it's known as ICPC. Do research on it because this is one of the biggest competition in the whole world. And this is like they give you it gives a very high skill towards your resume. If you put your gotten into ICPC in the world finals, obviously not the regionals. There are two types: regionals basically which are in India only, basically you compete against each other and then go. If you get into world finals and you actually represent our country, then it's going to give you can almost get into any company you want. And after this would be Facebook Hacker Cup. This is a programming contest organized by Facebook, and this is also pretty high level. So putting this on your resume would also give you a better chance of landing job. Then when I introduced you Code Forces, right, that has actually two competitions called VK Cup and Techno Cup. These are again annually occurring contests, so please do check them out as well. And I would suggest you to mainly start doing contests on Code Forces, VK Cup, Techno Cup, and everything, all of these. Then move towards your main aim should be Kickstart or ICPC if you want to get a really, if you want your name to be really big. So I'd suggest you to go for ICPC or Kickstart. Now I'll be talking about editors we have to use when you want to start CP or when you want to code as a competitive programmer. So the main one which I would suggest you to go for is Sublime Text. And when I'll be sharing the PPT, there are two YouTube videos. Watch this to how to set up Sublime Text. And if you don't understand or if you don't want to use Sublime Text, it's a little bit complicated. You can use VS Code. The only difference between VS Code and Sublime Text is VS Code is not usually meant for competitive programming. It's a IDE, whereas Sublime Text is a text editor. So it's a little bit faster, a little bit easier to use. So again, I told you, right? CP is all about time. So the more time you save, the more better it is. So I'm showing you what both text editors are now. Um, so this is the Sublime Text Editor, which I had told you. And this actually uses a file. Basically, as I told you, it's a text editor. So it reads and inputs and output from a text file. That's the only issue with this. And the only other issue would be as a online judge or as a competitive program, when you submit a solution, you basically just give the solution and you don't need to like input and output from a text file. So these two line of codes are very important. Basically, this is the one which takes input and output from a text file. So never forget to add these two lines while you're doing your codes on Sublime Text. So when you do this, and actually I got this problem from Code Chef, one of the problems, this is the sample input. So when you go build or when you go to submit your code, as you can see, it has been built and this was the output which has come. So this is how Sublime Text Editor works. I've given those two YouTube videos. I'll be sharing these links later on. So look into it and learn more about it. The other one would be using this extension. So if you have VS Code, and many people feel like VS Code is easier, so it's all in one. It's used for everything. All you can do is just go to extension marketplace and just search CPH. You will get your extension. And once you get the extension, go towards your CP judge. Here you have to give your custom test cases, which is given. So if I go to this problem here, which is the spy detected. As you can see, there's a sample input, there's a sample output. So when you write your code and you want to check whether it's actually correct, so copy it, then go to the code which you want to go. And since this ID and it doesn't use file, put the input here and put the output there. This is the expected output given, and you have to run it and it will tell whether you passed the test cases or not. As you can see, it has been passed. So once you get this output, go ahead and submit it. That's it. And I'll teach you how to submit. So if this is the question given, problem given, all you have to do is click on submit on top, choose the problem which is given as spy detected, go towards the code and paste it and click on submit. You can do this way, or if you have actually written the code as I've written it here in my VS Code, people use online compiler as well. All you have to do is open the file where it is present and then submit it. That's it. And I'll even teach you how to use Code Chef as well, the platform. So it's running, let it run. This is the question which I had chosen, which I'll be showing how to submit. Once you arrive at the question, as you can see here on the top, submit button, or below, if you scroll down, you can see submit. Click on it and then choose your editor. I am using C++. You can use Java, Python, as I told you long back. Just don't use any other editors which are given here. I wouldn't suggest you to go for these languages because they're not mainly used for CP. And you can submit your code here. That's it. So as you can see, my code has been accepted over here. So this is how you use code forces to submit your codes. So you take up contest, any contest. If you want to practice, when I told you before, right? So to practice, so take any contest you want to go for this thing. Go towards this contest. As you can see, there are questions. Go and solve it. That's the only thing. Go towards the question, take it and solve it, input it and check it out. That would be it for the editors used. Now I'll be showing you if you want to learn CP on your own pace or do like CP on your own this thing, I would suggest you to follow these YouTubers. One is called, the first YouTuber I'd suggest you to go and watch literally every single video he has put out, even streams on Twitch, his contests. So I'd suggest you to go and actually follow him and check out his videos. He's called JNDK. He's also known as Tourist, and he's the number one coder on Code Forces. He's number one. So he's called Legendary Grandmasters on Code Forces. So you can check his profile. This is him. And as you can see, he's ranked one currently on Code Forces. He's the number one rated person. So I'd suggest you to follow him. He has put out some guides how to use how to start with CP and what to use. Personally, he uses Vim, but I think he has given a setup for Sublime Text Editor as well. I would also like you guys to start using Sublime Text more than VS Code, which is normal because it is meant for competitive programming only. So try to learn more about Sublime Code. I've given two YouTube videos which I'll be sharing with you guys how to use Sublime Text and how to input, how to output. Everything is there in it. So learn to use Sublime Text more as it's going to be really helpful later on. Now you'll be like, it's not going to be a difference between Sublime Text and VS Code. As you can see, both do the same job. You'll realize it later on that it's Sublime Text is a little bit faster, a little bit easier because the UI is pretty easy. All you have to do is just open a file, keep two input and output text and do it. Whereas VS Code, there's a separate extension which you have to use. You can't run the code normally and get the same input output because for now the test cases are very easy. I've taken all normal problems. When you go towards C, D, E, or F problems, those will have a lot bigger test cases, which might slow down your running time in your VS Code and give you output a little bit late. So you lose again time. The more time you lose, the more behind you go. The other one would be Clement M. I would suggest you to go follow this guy if you want to gain more knowledge on DSA and if you want to learn how what questions they ask on interviews, because many people want like to know what is the main thing, how do you crack placements and thing. So he gives you problems which are both used in CP and in interviews as well, placements. So go and follow him as well. He also has a this thing called as Algo Expert. If you want, you can go and do questions, solve questions. It's paid. You can go subscribe if you want. And these questions are really good. I took it for a month and it's really good. It teaches you where you are actually lacking or where you're not lacking. So for me, I was facing problems in DP dynamic programming and they actually gave me more questions on it. And it told me how to go about. So if you are a person who wants to actually learn it properly and learn it the right way, this is a routine you can follow Algo Expert because for me, what happened was when I want to learn concepts, I had to switch from YouTube channel to YouTube channel because some taught very well dynamic programming or graphs, any algorithm, but he was not so good when he was teaching any advanced DSA like try, Fenwick tree, anything like that. So I'd suggest you to if you want, you can go for Algo Expert, or one more would be Lead Code. Take the Lead Code Premium. If you want to know how Premium works, just go towards this thing and check it out. You'll have a good idea what actually Premium is. They give you problems based on the concept you want, such as DP, heaps, or anything. Solve it. They'll give like 30, 40 problems, each going on difficulty level. So you can solve that, and then it will improve your this thing. Then if you want another guy, this guy is really good for ad coder. So if you're at the end, if you try giving ad coder, top coder, and all these ones, because Code Chef is the beginning, if I would rate, Code Chef is the beginning. Code Forces would be next, and it's really popular. So once you get done with Code Chef, the basics of Code Chef, I'd suggest once you get like 3 star or something, you can leave it there, or you can go till 5 star. But you can leave Code Chef once you hit like 3 star and then go towards code forces, because that is the main. Why? Because the main difference is the last contest when I attended on code forces, there were around 30,000 people attending it. Whereas code chef, when I attended mine, both are in same division, and I had only 10K people doing it. So more coders are there. So go towards code forces is what I would suggest. Although it's not beginner friendly, you're going to face a lot of issues, a lot of difficulties, and there'll be a lot of stuff going on. But keep doing it, because for me, in my first year when I actually started doing competitive programming, my first contest I gave was on code forces, and at that time I didn't know anyone to tell me how to follow, what to do. So I basically finished my DSA on my own by studying, taking a course, and I'm like, okay, I'll go give a contest on code forces. I gave it and I got a rank of 11,000 out of 15,000. So because of that, I completely stopped attending contests. So what routine I would suggest you to follow is, first go to lead code, even hacker rank. To be honest, hacker rank is really good if you're starting out. If you have no idea what coding is and you want to get into competitive programming, go towards hacker rank, get all the badges possible, because if you go towards hacker rank, there are badges. So one would be, I guess, 30 days of code, get that badge, then go towards C++ code, obviously, because you'll be coding C++. If you're coding in Java, go for Java. So 30 days of code, C, C++, Java, everything is there. So which language which you're going to take and start, go get the highest level possible in hacker rank, then go for lead code. In lead code, you start going directly to all easy problems possible. Here you just sort the difficulty to easy and solve as many as problems you can. How many are you can solve it. At least do one thing. If you want to really excel in CP or excel in your placements for your DSA or anything, I would suggest you to solve minimum 1 to 2 problems at least in a day, almost every single day in lead code. That will help you out really. You'll be like, it's a pain, like obviously you can't do it daily, but this will indirectly help you out very much for your placements, as well as it becomes very easy giving placements. And competitive programming, if you can, for competitive programming, if you want to advance, I would suggest you to, after finishing easy, you would probably be in coach chef rank like 2 stars, two stars to 3 stars maybe. If you want to go higher, if you want to, max is 7 stars on coach chef. So if you want to hit that 5 6 stars, 5 stars is where only like top 1,000 are there in programming. So go towards medium problems, solve medium problems as many you can, and solve a little bit of hard problems. Hard problems, I would suggest, they won't be asked much in your placements or anything, but for your this thing, if you want to become more efficient, and if you want to learn, or if you want to analyze or enhance your more problem solving skills, go towards hard problems on lead code. This is only for you if you want to learn more. And after you're finished lead code practicing, again, side by side, you can give contests. It's not like that you only practice and give contests. Don't be like me who just went and gave contests at the start without practicing anything. So go learn problems on lead code, solve a little bit of problems, at least like take 2 3 weeks, solve problems. And then after that, when you are like flexible, or you've learned enough that easy problems you can solve it within at least 5 to 10 minutes, within that you can go and give your first contest and give it on code chef, not on code forces. If you want to give code forces, then I think go till medium, solve till medium problems on lead code. And hacker rank, I think hacker rank is not that great when you want to go for code forces. So stick to lead code, solve as much as you can, and then go to GFG. GFG have, I've told you, right, these ones. So there will be some problems. If you just search problems on anything you want, any concept, analysis of algorithms, search it. There'll be many problems. Try to solve them. There are even practice questions on GFGs, which I'll be sharing later on. Practice problems on GFG, Code Chef, Code Forces, all of these I'll be sharing later on, where you can give it a try. After this session, I'll be sharing it to you guys after this week. Give it a try and go ahead and try to solve them. Take a week. I guess a week would be enough. Don't try to look for the solution anywhere. Try to solve this on your own. You, at first, you'll be like, you won't get the logic. It will take a long time for you guys. But once you keep doing this without checking the online solution, you keep trying and you keep trying, you'll keep building your logic. Main thing, or the main element, or the main skill required for CP would be your logic. How much logic do you have, and how can you think of the question, the optimal solution, and how the question is designed? So that requires logic. So don't try to look up on any solutions of any problems. is what I'd suggest. And for the people who like reading books for anything, C, C++, competitive programming, I would suggest you to use this book, Introduction to Algorithms. It's also known as CLRS. If you type CLRS itself, you'll get to know it's really famous. And there are, I think, 10 to 12 sets of problems in that. Go ahead and try to solve it. In this book, there are many problems. And try to solve and check if you can do it. And there are even solutions of this book. It's very famous. If you just type CLRS, you'll get it. Try to solve it and check whether you can reach or solve the problems. And if you can't, obviously in the book he has given you a solution, how to approach a problem, not solution directly. You can find solution online, how to approach a problem. He has written everything perfectly. So go for this as well. And that's it from my side. At the end, I'll just share an experience what I faced during when I started CP, and I'll just tell you guys how to go forward for competitive programming and what to follow. As I said, I gave only one contest and at the start, and I stopped Code Forces ultimately. So how you would start is if people who are really, really, really interested in competitive programming or BDSA, like you really want to learn and you really want to go ahead and crack those interviews or give those competitions like Kickstart, where if you go on top, if you're on top of Kickstart, you get a direct interview from Google. No in between where you get rounds, go and give your resume to Google, submit. No, they come for you. They ask you to come and join and give an interview. So you want to go to that level, I would suggest you to start from Code Forces, but it will demotivate you at the start because their contests are hard. They're really hard. If I'll give you an example, Div 2 rating ends at around like 1500, 1600 itself, whereas Code Forces Div 3, it starts opposite, ends at around like 1400, I guess, 1400, 1500, somewhere on that. But in Code Forces, you get very low rating. Like when I got 1000 rank out of 30,000 people, my rating just improved by only 110 in Code Forces. But in Code Chef, when I got a rank of 300 out of around like 8,000 people, my rating increased to plus 150. So you have to give a lot of contest, and it will be demotivating in Code Forces. So it suggests you at sometimes you will be stuck like um, at like most probably when you start now, you'll be stuck at time complexities. Most of the codes, when I started, most of my codes were just giving me TLE. Logic was correct. Whatever input you give me, I am getting the output. But my thing is, code is saying the online judge. Code Forces is saying you're getting time limit exceeded. That means your solution isn't efficient and optimal. So when you keep doing on Code Forces, your solution becomes more and more efficient, more and more optimal, and this will help you basically beat others during Kickstart or ICPC, because almost every person when you face Kickstart at a higher level or ICPC will be able to solve the code. It's just that whose code took lesser time when to solve and who had more what do you say more efficient algorithm which took less space and less time. And during ongoing sessions, upcoming sessions, we'll be teaching your time complexity as well. So take a look into that. And at the end of this week, we'll be even giving you problems, some problems from our side on Code Forces platform itself. And I'll be creating a group on Code Forces. You can join that. We'll be giving problems and we'll be timing it. And after that, you have to solve those problems during that time. It's not going to be, it's not going to be like standings or anything like that. It's just for your practice. So don't worry if you're last or you could not even solve a single problem or something like that. It's not going to be a big deal. So I'd suggest tell you guys to try that. And after this contest on Code Forces, I'll be giving you some practice problems to practice on your own time, own pace. That's it from my side. I'll be ending this session. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me.
Yes, we'll be sharing a Slido link wherein you guys can put your questions if you have. We'll take some now and then maybe later in tomorrow's session we'll continue. I'll share my screen. Also, it has our speaker's LinkedIn account. You guys can follow him if you feel inspired or if you want to ask any questions from him there. You can follow him there itself.
Bro, please share the WhatsApp group where we can solve the problems.
Yeah, it's not going to be a WhatsApp group. It's going to be a contest on Code Forces. I will be sending you the link and I'll be giving you a time. It's going to be time rated. Main, I would suggest you if you really want to give contest, time yourself. So if you're doing lead code, if you're doing Geeks for Geeks, which I've told you, right, all the platforms, when you start a problem, make sure you set a timer or you keep a watch or anything to get to know how much time it required for you to solve. So on Code Forces, this will be time rated. It's for practice, and after the contest gets over, you can still solve the questions later on. So it's just for you guys to get to know what actually happens in competitive programming. It is not going to be like how you normally code right now, right? If you have any coding, obviously you'll be having coding classes. You would have done OOPS or CSE 101 basic. So you'll get to know the difference. And there's even a penalty. So every time you put the question wrong, you're going to lose your rank as well. So it will be on Code Forces, and I'll send a link later on shortly.
If anyone has any questions, you can ask directly here or put it there in the Slido. Apart from that, just giving you guys a brief up about how our sessions are going to be. Tomorrow, we will be having a session at 6 p.m. It will be covering time complexities, and you guys will also be coding along a bit with the speaker. So that is the agenda for tomorrow. Upcoming sessions will go on every weekend. Maybe not next to next week because most of us will be having our exams. After that, we'll continue. So it will go on for 4 weeks, covering most of the things from basics to advanced. So if you guys are really interested and if you want to learn, you can follow up. And we'll be giving out the certificates too to all the attendants that will be coming up in our sessions. So that is what our plan is. And finally, after all these sessions, there will be a big contest related to competitive programming wherein you guys can participate and show what you have learned, and maybe you will win prizes or certificates related to that. So keep our eyes on our Discord channel and our Insta page. You will be updated accordingly. If no other doubts are there, and Neeraj, if you don't have anything else to add, if you guys want to leave, you can. Thank you for joining in today.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you very much for joining.